My name's Judy Funderburk. I'm one of the Master Gardener Volunteers of Northern Virginia, and I especially work in the Glen Carlin Library Community Garden. Today we're here to show you how to make rosemary pecans. We grow rosemary at the garden, and it makes one of the specialty items that we always find people asking about. They taste good, and they are good as a appetizer or as a condiment snack. And I'm inviting you to come along with us now as we show you the steps. We're here in my front garden looking at the rosemary, which is still a lovely green even as we're filming here in late January. Some rosemaries have a hard time making it through the winter, but those that are established and are cold hardy usually do make it. We're hoping this makes it through the winter. I love cutting the green rosemary, and we use it for cooking, but particularly today we're cutting so that we can show you how to make rosemary pecans. So I'm clipping at a place where there are shoots coming up and giving me a longer branch that's maybe hanging out and still has lots of growth at the base. Got a sprig there and another long one here, and just one big more right here. Okay, and we can cut as many as you want to dry. Sometimes the winter time's a good time to prune, and you'll be drying this, and we'll show you that step next. So here we have the fresh green rosemary that we just cut, and we're going to hang it to dry. It needs to dry for probably about 3 weeks would do it. Mine often hangs longer. I take it downstairs in the basement, and it hangs from a short clothesline, but anything where you put clothespins or some kind of a hanger so that it has a way to hang down and dry out. And then after that time, you'll come up with, here are some that I have dried, and they're already dropping some of their fine needles and leaves. But these are the ones where we'll be showing you how to pull off the needles, the leaves, and create the more of the ingredients for the rosemary pecans. I want to show you how you take the leaves off of these long branches from the dried rosemary. They are a little bit crispy by this time, so they come off fairly easily. But I wanted to show you 2 different stalks because this one has got more of the little bitty branches along the stem. You can see it here and here, and here's another one. So I'm sort of pulling it off, but I don't want to get the stem because that isn't the green leaf. So you be a little careful as you go along. But I sort of start just rubbing, and then I see where the branches are, and I try not to get that in the final product. So it's tedious, but it's gonna make a great product, so you don't really mind. So here I've got all the rosemary some of which I started before, and here's my container with the dried rosemary in it. And then we'll go to the next step. Here is my dedicated herb grinder. It's a sweet little tool that you put your whatever needs to be ground inside, and it whirs away. You can also use a clean coffee grinder to do the same thing. I just happen to use this for any herbs that I'm working with. So today it's rosemary. So put this back on and put the mixture, the leaves of the rosemary inside. Spread them around a little bit. And you want to grind until it gets quite fine because you want all the little bits of rosemary to stick to the pecan. So I'm going to start. This is the way the rosemary looks when it's ground just about right. There's some pieces, but it also has a lot of fine in there so that you truly get the flavor of ground rosemary in your pecans. The rosemary, you might have more than you need for one batch. I'll be keeping. I'll be using some of this, but there'll be extra. And so you may store it. It keeps for a long time. I actually have a little funnel, which makes it easier to pour from the container. I'm just pouring it in, and then I can keep it for the next time that I want to make rosemary pecans. I've used an old rosemary container, but a glass jar of any kind will work, or in a spice jar. So now we're ready to put everything together. I've melted the butter, it's a 1/4 cup of butter, half a stick, but you can also use oil if you've got vegan friends, or you could use a vegan friendly butter. Oil's a little easier sometimes if you don't have a large glass bowl to melt it. I usually do it in the microwave at defrost and melt the butter. And then we're ready to add the spices in with. I have put together here the mix of the ground rosemary that we just did, and here is some basil. It's just like 1/2 teaspoon. We'll have the recipe for you. And a 1/4 teaspoon of cayenne red pepper, and a teaspoon of salt. I found that if you use salted butter, it's better to use a little less salt in your spice mixture. So I'm going to add the spice mixture to the butter, melted butter. Stir it well to get all the little pieces moistened. There we go, mixing it up. And I have pre-measured here, but you'll want 4 cups, 1 pound of pecans. So this has actually been measured. I've got the 4 cups here. I'm going to pour them in. A lot of pecans, as you can see. And if you have a friend who knows where to get inexpensive pecans, that's a good thing to know. Good help. Here I'm mixing them all together. You can see the little bits of the rosemary and the salt and the cayenne, and a little bit of basil is in there too. You mix a long time because you want that mixture to be very even over covering as many of the pecans richly and fully as you can. So just keep mixing until it feels to you that the mixture is evenly over all of the 4 cups of pecans. So we've mixed the pecans and got them evenly coated as evenly as we can. We're putting them into this pan. This is a brand new pan for me, Christmas gift, and it's a sheet pan that it has high sides, and I've used it several times already for other things. I just really like it, and I'm thinking it's going to be great for the pecans because you can spread them out, and you've got the high sides so they're not going over. This is a pan that I've used for years. You can see, well used cookie sheet. You can use that, and the only downside to that is that it's a little harder when you get to the point of turning them. So these pecans are going to be as much as you can at one level all the way around. And when you put them in the oven at 325, and you're going to set your timer for 10 minutes. So that after 10 minutes, you take them out and you move them away from the edges and turn them so that they get cooked on all the sides. And that's a little harder when you've got a pan with very low sides. So I'm really liking this idea of having higher sides. I don't have to be quite as careful when I turn them, and then re-spread them out and put them back in the oven for 10 more minutes. It's about 10 minutes for each interval. You're cooking for a total of half an hour, but maybe less. You need to watch them so they don't get too brown. So here we are, fresh made, homemade rosemary pecans. They have come out of the oven and been cooled. They keep very well. You can put them in any kind of airtight container and they will just last, though they don't last very long in our home and with friends because everybody loves them, and once you start you'll find they're a bit addictive, but they're also really tasty and a nice gift at Christmas time. I make a bunch as gifts. If you don't have rosemary of your own at your home, or your shrub is too small to cut branches, you might just ask around and walk in the area or put out a call. I'd like some branches of fresh rosemary, and I'll teach you about rosemary pecans. Let's share this gift, and the gift of the garden, the gift of nature, and gift of friendship.